Chef Vikas, so welcome to Dubai. कैसे हैं आप?
Very good, thank you so much. Love Dubai, love being here.
Well, it's so nice to have you here, and you're here for a very big, very special reason, which we will come to. Before that, I want to talk to you about you. So, starting with, we know you for your amazing culinary skills, you being a prominent restaurateur, a filmmaker as well, a writer as well. What is it that you haven't done?
I still haven't passed a bill in the Congress, which is my biggest mission, and I feel I don't like failing. And a lot of people have been writing to me, have you become a lawyer now? I said, I've not become a lawyer. I've always figured out that I always need to do things which are my heart is calling for. And for the last few decades, I feel that I have such generosity from the universe and people that I feel that having a voice which was given to me by Indian cooking, that I should be honest and true to things which call me, and I should focus on them. So that's why you see all this portfolio of author and filmmaker and documentarian and all those things come, because when my heart calls me for something, genuinely I do focus on it.
Lovely. Well, we've heard that while growing up, it was your grandmother who inspired you to the world of cooking.
She was amazing chef. Yeah. Amazing. I still believe. I think more than just the cooking, what inspired me was the ecosystem of cooking. That's how it was about the food which brought everyone together. And as you're growing older, the food became something for your spiritual mind. You know, when we are sad or something, we want our favorite food because we feel that that food can make us overcome this depression or stress or the hard time or loss. So food has that power, that magnetic power, which is much beyond that single dish, because it's a part of a massive continuity. So those things really inspired me as a child, and I think my grandma became an important vehicle for me to understand those things.
Tell me, Vikas, you're one of the first chefs from India to be awarded the Michelin star honor.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I was in the base of that award was like, in colleges we used to have this guide where they would mention that this recipe comes from Michelin star chef, and I'm like, why do these guys mention Michelin star? What does this mean? Yeah. I asked the teacher and he says, don't worry, it's not for you. I'm like, what do you mean by it's not for me? He's saying it's basically for white chefs. I'm like, I love it, because I am a true hardcore Amritsari and we love to do things and then think about it. I'm like, okay, so why can't we do it? Why can't we get it? And I'm like, they think, oh, this is impossible for Indian chefs to get it, unless or until they cook French food. Oh. That really broke my heart. And since that day, I stopped cooking French, and I said, I'm going to focus only on Indian food. And I've become quite stubborn in a few things, and this was one of those days I remember so clearly. And I'm still in touch with the professor, and he says, thank you so much. I've never been so happy for somebody proved me wrong. And I said, you people don't even teach Indian food. They're like, oh yeah, but you need to learn French food. I was like, but why should we cook French food? Why are they not cooking Indian food? Yeah. The questions we never ask.
Yeah, you actually bringing it up then and actually rebelling against it. So inspiring listening to you, Vikas, really.
I get too passionate, I know.
Let's come to the story of the book that is being launched as a collectible on the NFT platform. Tell me all about it.
Again, extension of my madness. Sacred Foods of India. So the book talks about honoring people who have been cooking in these sacred places, holy places, for so many generations, and their dishes. So I said, when I'm going to honor them or talk about them, we cannot be doing a regular book, 8 by 10 size, 120 pages, 4 color print, everything I've been done for so many times. I need to do something which is magnum opus. And we bow to these people and their kitchens and everything, because this is out of gratitude, that what they do is, some of the places where I visited, where so many hungry people come, who could be just one meal away from dying of starvation. What could be higher than these kitchens? And that little conversation and being so passionate about it, it kept going on, and we figured out that we are going to do something like this. But my reason to do this book was very not selfish, but also had a different motive. We had millions of Indians living in diaspora, like yourselves, right? So for our generation, our kids, they might have a disconnect to India, which I feel very strongly. So मुझे लगा कि सबके घरों में ये किताब होनी चाहिए. NRIs, the whole communities should have this to celebrate India. So when the kids go through the pages, they're feeling that, oh my goodness, this happens on earth. Work like this. To show them a different side of India, what they've been reading and being taught in school about India, that there's much to India beyond that. Again, this was a rebellion thought of mine, and I said, we have to do this. And then it was very difficult. Doors kept closing on this. And then I realized that what we always say, that if the door is closing, there's something else opening for you. We did not understand that this whole thing is going to coincide with India at 75. And the world was waiting for Ganesh ji to come in my life and say, listen, this book is great. This should be a digital thing. I'm like looking at them blankly. I had no idea that what Akshaya was going to do with this book.
Yeah.
So this is a massive platform for NFTs and digital assets. He's saying, you give a book to somebody, we'll also give them a digital asset. मुझे कुछ समझ नहीं आया. And they made me, I said, okay, explain to me as if I'm 3 years old, not even 6. I'm like, please explain to me what will happen. He's saying, this book, people will get physically, it will go in the living room, and that is how it's been created. If you see the little work, again I get how this book looks. This is a cookbook, right?
Yeah.
In a way, but it is a treasure of a cookbook because this is something beyond what we have ever seen. So we say that this should be a part of their living rooms.
Wow, this is beautiful.
So we have the gold, and we have the gilding of gold, and we have Swarovski jewels, we have rare jewels on some books with sandalwood and everything. So we said, we are not stopping. We are going to go all the way out on this. That's the whole thing.
Wow.
Now look at this now. This sits in your living room, and we want people to be able to feel it,
Yeah.
So this is next level technology of Akshaya. This is a chip inside.
Okay.
Once you get this book, you get ownership of the whole, you own the whole digital part of the book. Now the ink is used from flowers, fruits and vegetables.
Really?
We have all disclaimers inside. So if you look at the colors, can be a little off because they're all natural colors. And if you touch the paper, you have never felt paper like this.
Yeah.
So the detail which has gone dedicated to Ma Annapurna, because she is the highest in the hierarchy of life, that without food, no one exists.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then we talk about the beauty and the magnificence of these kitchens. And this was one of the biggest challenges I've ever faced in my life. When we had to break down the recipes, what they were serving, for recipe for 4, recipe for 6, recipe for 2. It was so difficult, I can't tell you.
Very, very beautifully done by explaining where it is generally, where will you find it, why it is served there, and then telling people how they can make it if they can't reach.
If somebody asks me what's the foundation of Indian cuisine, I said this.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a ground root level of how we bring our communities together and serve them and unite them and empower them.
Brilliant thinking, I must say.
Right?
Yeah.
Something so simple.
So simple, but put together so beautifully. Thank you so much, Chef. It's been so wonderful, so inspiring, as I said even before talking to you. And I'm sure you're going to have huge, huge success with this, with yet another project in your life as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, Ganesh. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
Very well. Thank you for joining us on Z Connect today.
Absolutely.
Tell me, how did your association with Chef Vikas Khanna culminate into this idea?
Yeah, like I said, we've been in US for so long, but our heart still is in India. So we have our deep roots there. So we wanted to highlight India's thousands of years of history, traditions, the heritage and all that. So we were looking at what could be the right product.
Right.
So food, this is a completely magnificent. what Vikas Khanna has done here.
It is.
So the food is something that touches the soul and heart of people. And it also highlights the whole, the thousands years of what has been going on with the sacred food, the offerings that people make, something that builds the community and everything. This talks about it. So nothing better than that could be, this is why it's the first product. We wanted to make it as an NFT because we consider this is a treasure, this is an asset. So that's what NFT stands for.
Yes.
So something that will last for generations and generations. So that's why we built something called Phygital, which is a physical asset. Along with this, the owners will also get a digital copy, a 3D version of this book that they can take, actually interact, they can open and see and use that. And we are working on metaverse as well, that's coming up, which will be focused on India again, where we will highlight India's culture, heritage and traditions.
Okay.
And people who buy this, they will be the exclusive people who can access the metaverse first.
Okay, wonderful. Well, this is great. We wish you all the very best for your
Thank you.
future projects with Akshaya. Thank you so much for talking to us, Ganesh.
It's my pleasure.